They say nothing in life is free, but energy could be. In today's video, we're going to explore several conspiracy theories around supposed free energy breakthroughs that appear every few years and then quickly disappear. Some of these stories are certainly false, while others may contain some truth. But one thing is certain, no matter how desperate we are for cheap, clean energy, we should not trust anyone who claims to have a revolutionary invention without hard evidence. Let's dig into this. Over the past 2 centuries, thousands of inventors have come forward, claiming to have discovered ways to create more energy than they consume or to tap into some inexhaustible source of power like perpetual motion. Most of these inventions turn out to be hoaxes, scams, or just plain wrong, but some genuine discoveries have been made along the way. For example, the invention of the electric motor led to the development of the first hydroelectric plants. And early nuclear reactors helped scientists learn how to control atomic nuclei, which lead to all of our nuclear technology today. But free energy is different. A true free energy device would violate the first law of thermodynamics. It would produce more power than it consumes without any external source of energy. We know from Einstein's famous equation equals mc squared that mass and energy are interchangeable. So, if you convert even a tiny amount of the mass of a free energy device into energy, that should be enough to run it forever. However, no such machine has ever been built. Indeed, physicists say that free energy machines are impossible. And yet, every few years, someone comes forward with a story about a miraculous new discovery. And just as mysteriously, those discoveries always seem to disappear. We'll talk more about why these stories tend to evaporate later on. But first, let's look at 3 recent examples. One was in 2018, when a self-described mechanical engineer named Martin Rubigale posted a video to YouTube showing an unusual-looking metal sculpture that he claimed was capable of perpetual motion. The sculpture looked a bit like a gyroscope with a pair of spinning wheels mounted on a central axis. But instead of spinning smoothly, the wheels spun erratically as if something was pushing them, seemingly without any external force. Robitaille went on to claim that his sculpture was actually an over-unity device, meaning that it produced more energy than it consumed. He applied for a patent in 2017 with the title, Apparatus and Method for Generating Electrical Power Using an Over-Unity Device. But the patent office rejected his application, saying that his device was perpetual motion, which is not possible, so it couldn't work. Not to be deterred, Robitaille wrote back explaining that his sculpture didn't violate the conservation of energy because it got its energy from vacuum fluctuations. The patent office replied that vacuum fluctuations are a physical phenomenon that has never been observed and cannot be used to design an energy-producing device. So the patent office rejected his application again. That seems pretty definitive. But Robitaille posted another video to YouTube insisting that he had been right all along and that the Canadian government had secretly invited him to Ottawa to test his device. Apparently, they loved it and asked him to keep working on it. Though, apparently he wasn't allowed to take any notes during this meeting. So we don't know what happened there. Or maybe he's still in Ottawa. A similar case occurred in 2019 in Russia, where a man named Alexander O. Semenov posted videos online of a peculiar machine that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The device looked like a cross between a bicycle and an air-powered longboard. It had 2 large propellers mounted on either side of the rider. As he sped down a hill, the propellers spun faster and faster until they were moving much faster than the rider, allowing him to slow down, go uphill, and even stop on a steep incline. Semenov claimed that his machine was powered by the stress wave emitted from the deformation of the tires, which he said created an air vortex behind the rider, generating the force needed to drive the propellers. Though he said he planned to sell the rights to his invention to the Russian military, no further news stories appeared after 2019. Another curious invention was reported in India in 2021 when a man named Ratan Tata Hire surfaced claiming to have invented a device that could generate unlimited free electricity from thin air. According to News Nation, his device worked by extracting energy from zero-point energy, which they described as a hypothetical form of energy in quantum mechanics that can never be fully utilized. Now, Zero-point energy is real in the sense that it's a consequence of Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Space cannot be perfectly empty because empty space still fluctuates with particle-antiparticle pairs popping in and out of existence. But whether those fluctuations could be harvested to do useful work is still an open question in physics. A year after making headlines, very little more was heard from Tata Air, though Indian journalists did report that the government had started an investigation into his claims. Of course, that's just a small sample. There are many more like it. So, why do these stories keep coming out? Well, we think there are three main reasons. First, some people actually believe their invention works because they haven't thought through the consequences. Consider the over-unity machine from 2018. If it really did produce more power than it consumed, then we could use it to make copies of itself indefinitely. With infinite copies, we could power our entire world and no one would ever have to pay an energy bill again. It might sound appealing, but that's simply not possible. If we start with 100 units of energy, we can't create 100 more units out of nothing. At best, we could break even, which is why it's very unlikely that such a machine could exist. And yet some people still claim that they've found a way to accomplish this. Second, some inventors understand the laws of physics perfectly well, but they just want to make money. Consider the perpetual motion machines that became popular in the late 19th century. These devices often took the form of wheels with weights attached at various points around the rim. They were designed to spin forever because the weighted rim would always stay upright, keeping the wheel perpetually in balance. But of course, they don't spin forever, because friction brings them to a halt within minutes. Nevertheless, the inventor of one such machine, called the overbalance wheel, secured a patent for his design in 1894 and set up shop trying to sell investors on the idea of building a giant version that could power the entire United States. Eventually, the investors realized they were being scammed and destroyed the prototype. Similar scams have continued into the modern era. In 2006, the US Federal Trade Commission took legal action against a company called Free Energy, which was selling a box that it claimed could increase radio reception by harvesting zero-point energy. The company argued that they were merely exercising their freedom of speech and weren't making any specific claims. A federal judge ultimately ruled that the company was actually engaging in deceptive trade practices and shut them down. Third, and perhaps most interesting, is the possibility that some inventions that appear to be free energy might actually be something else. For example, the over-unity machine from 2018 might actually be a sophisticated electromechanical marvel. The problem is that we can't know for sure because no one has stepped forward with hard evidence. This reminds us of cold fusion, the alleged process of generating nuclear fusion at room temperature. The idea was born in 1989, when two chemists claimed to have created a device that could continuously generate more heat than it consumed, suggesting that they had achieved nuclear fusion. Though it sounds a lot like free energy, the researchers said their device didn't work by producing more energy than it consumed. Instead, it worked by triggering a special type of nuclear reaction that converts deuterium, a heavy form of hydrogen, into helium, which releases energy. This reaction doesn't require high temperatures or pressures, but it does require a catalyst. And the pair claimed that their device provided the necessary catalyst by creating a lattice of palladium and deuterium atoms. Cold fusion was immediately met with widespread skepticism from other physicists who pointed out flaws in the experiment. But the controversy highlighted the fact that nuclear physics was surprisingly difficult, and many scientists spent considerable time and effort trying to reproduce the result. While they were unable to confirm the original experiment, they did discover several unexpected properties of deuterium. Today, cold fusion remains controversial, but many physicists agree that something interesting is definitely going on. Now, we don't know if the same can be said about the so-called free energy devices. They remain firmly in the realm of conspiracy, but sometimes the truth really is stranger than fiction. So, what do you think? Are there any free energy devices that you've heard about? Have you seen anything like this yourself? Do you think some of these might be real? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our future videos. We make new videos every week about space, technology, science, and more. And if you'd like to continue learning, there's a whole playlist of our videos about physics. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.